Uh-oh, Big Daddy Activision's listening. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to Modern Warfare 3. A number of interesting things have happened today and we're going to be covering all of that here in this video. So number A, it's now one of those free multiplayer events, and during that time, skill-based matchmaking is always very hit or miss. I truly do believe that during these free events, they lower skill-based matchmaking quite a bit so people are more likely to enjoy the game and therefore purchase the game, and then matchmaking goes back to normal once the event is over. That's happened a couple of times so far here throughout the Modern Warfare 3 life cycle, and I'm interested to hear. Leave your thoughts down there in the comments. Have you noticed a change in matchmaking, a noticeable change ever since the update went live today? Definitely let me know about that. Number B, Activision put out a new blog post in regards to their matchmaking. You guys may remember the initial one that we covered a ton here on the channel where they actually talked about skill and how that factors into matchmaking. Well, today they continued on by talking about ping, because according to them, connectivity and ping is the #1 priority for them in their matchmaking system, even though we know that is demonstrably false. And what's crazy is they put out this entire blog post. It's more like a PDF, honestly. I'll put a link to it down there in the description. But right there towards the very beginning, I have it highlighted for you guys. A system with few constraints on matching and a high population may find matches within seconds. And a matchmaking system with strict constraints may take several minutes. So then, why is it that matchmaking does, in fact, take several minutes here within Modern Warfare 3? Throughout the entirety of this, right? Throughout the entirety of the entire PDF or whatever the hell they put out, they talked about matchmaking and how they prioritize connection and getting players into lobbies quickly is their #1 priority. But right there at the very beginning, they went against that because they talked about how skill is a heavily weighed factor with matchmaking previously. And right there towards the top of the entire PDF, they say that a matchmaking system with strict constraints may take several minutes. And here we are in COD, where matchmaking does take sometimes several minutes. So let's go ahead and check out this part right here as well. They give us a big example, and it's kind of convoluted, honestly, but let's just read this real quick. Let's consider an example of 1 billion online users in a game. In most games, players do not spend all their time in the core loop of matchmaking, which is playing a match, then matchmaking again. Let's say, for example, players spend about 80% of their time in the core loop. So our 1 million players are actually 800,000 within the core loop. Yeah, we can do basic math. Suppose a match takes 15 minutes to play. Ideally, the matchmaking time would be a short 15 seconds. Yeah, it used to be before you add skill-based matchmaking, as we want this to be far smaller than our time spent in the match. This means only 1 in 60 players are searching at any given moment, so 800,000 players online in the core loop are only 13,000 players searching concurrently. These 13,000 searches are split, in the case of Call of Duty, across 40 data centers and about 40 playlist options in our core multiplayer offering. This leaves on average about 8 players that are compatible with one another during any given 15-second interval. Keep in mind the average size of a COD match is 12, so that's not even a full match, and the average of 8 is a drastic oversimplification, so on and so forth, but this illustrates how even with large numbers of concurrent players, ideal ping isn't always practical if we want to match players quickly. Well, again, that goes against the entire everything that they discussed in their previous blog post about skill-based matchmaking. It goes against what they said at the very beginning of this blog post here. Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, they want people to take 15 seconds to find a match. Have you guys searched for a game in COD? It's a little bit faster, I will admit, once you're actually into a lobby and then you go through the match, and after the match is over, it throws you into another lobby, and then from there, typically that's a bit faster. But when you're initially searching, it can sometimes take 2 or 3 minutes, man. I know I'm not the only one that has this happen. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And then today, on top of all of this, they decided to add a new feature. Finally, they mentioned they were going to be doing this back towards when the game first came out, but they finally added a feature where at the end of the game, or towards the end of the game, if you check the scoreboard, there is now going to be an option to choose to stay within the lobby. The thing is, however, I don't think people are either clicking it or it just doesn't work really whatsoever, because the couple of times I've tried it so far here today, it still threw me into a brand new lobby. Lo and behold, the system doesn't even work, even though they added it. They said they wanted to test it. The thing is, don't give players the option to stay within the lobby, just like having the option to go again as a team. Like, whoever uses that feature, like literally freaking ever, make it like old COD, where once you're in, you stay in that lobby until you choose to leave that lobby. That's how matchmaking used to work, and COD matchmaking used to be incredibly quick compared to what we have now. I refuse to believe that with the crazy advances in technology that we have now, that COD matchmaking should take 5-10 times longer than it did back in the day. Like, you guys saw the video, I'm going to show it again. How many times do I have to bring this thing up here? But in Modern Warfare 2, I found 1 game of Team Deathmatch in the time that it took me to find 6 games of Team Deathmatch across 6 old Call of Duty titles. Like, back in the old CODs, you pressed go and you just were thrown into a lobby, or you were thrown into a match. Either way, it took seconds, like they said that it should, but it doesn't, because they're ignoring the fact throughout this entire blog post that skill is so heavily weighed into the matchmaking algorithm. That's really what it comes down to. Now, to wrap this up here, again, there's a bunch of fluff throughout the entire PDF or blog post or whatever you want to call it. It's very dry, I'm not gonna lie. Like, if you're looking for something to help you fall asleep tonight, just open that PDF on your phone, and before you know it, your eyes are gonna start weighing heavier than skill does within Call of Duty's matchmaking. But this is the final thing I wanted to show here, because people talk about this all the time. They're claiming the opposite, but you guys can be the judge. Another important dimension to consider when evaluating our success in providing low delta ping to all players is skill. Of course, they have to talk about skill. It's important that no matter the skill level of the player, we provide a low latency experience. The visualization below breaks down our delta ping metric by skill decile. In it, you can see that our delta ping experience is highly consistent for all of our players, regardless of their skill level. In other words, a player's skill has no impact on the latency experience we provide. Now, over the years, we've seen a bunch of evidence that has come out. Most of it can be disproven, not all of it. Some of it's very tangible, others can be disproven pretty easily, but regardless, we've seen so many people coming out and saying that there's like skill-based hit detection, that because of their skill within COD, that their connection is actively fighting against them. Who remembers way back in the day, there used to be host advantage, well then there became host disadvantage, and then we had lag compensation back in the Black Ops 2 days. It feels like every video every YouTuber ever made back then was about lag compensation, which they don't really discuss at all throughout the entirety of this blog post here today. So it's really muddled, it's really messy, but they did come out and they started talking about it a bit more, which I suppose is good. Just a lot of it is false though. It really does seem like it. Like, some of it, sure, whatever, fine, but a lot of it just seems false based on my personal experiences with the game, and I'm sure the personal experiences of most of you listening to or watching this video. It's just one of those things, man. Like, everyone seems to have such a varied experience in COD, whereas they're saying everyone should have like a perfect experience, essentially. Like, they even said that because of the large number of data centers that they use around the world, that 94% of all Call of Duty players have a best data center ping of 50 milliseconds or lower. So according to them, 94% of the entire COD population plays at 50 millisecond ping or less. And I will say that if you look at my ping throughout the most of the footage I have here on my channel, I'm usually within that 50 milliseconds. I'm usually lower than that, you know, but then packet burst takes over, then lag compensation takes over, and then the game just, even though it says I have fantastic ping, I know, I can feel it. Like, literally as I'm playing it, you can sometimes even pick up on it when you watch my videos. I can just feel that the servers are fighting me somehow, you know? It's just one of those things. Like, I'm sure many other people feel this way. I'm sure many other people out there have experienced this. I know I'm not crazy when it comes to it, man. Like, the connectivity in COD, as we get more and more players and better technology, it just seems to get worse, you know what I mean? Compared to the old days of Call of Duty 4, World at War, like, those games are basically fossils. They're dinosaurs now in the grand scheme of things, but they just ran so well when it came to connectivity and server stability. So I'm not sure I'm buying this entire post they put out today. I'm interested to hear what you guys think down there in the comments. I know whenever we talk about skill-based matchmaking, it's always a very heated discussion down there in the comments, so definitely looking forward to reading through that. But pretty much that is going to be it for this little news update video here today. It's going to be a weird few days within Modern Warfare 3 and subsequently Warzone, just because of how matchmaking is changed, I personally believe, during these free events. So we're going to have a whole bunch of new people on the servers, a bunch of lower levels coming in, and they're definitely going to be changing up the matchmaking based upon that. And now they're trying to add this feature where we can stay in the lobby, but the feature doesn't even seem to work. That, or nobody ever wants to stay in the lobby. I really don't freaking know. And then, of course, that blog post came out today, and they say we're going to be getting another one at some point in the summer, apparently. So even though they said that they wanted to talk about skill-based matchmaking and make it part of their ongoing discussion with the community, it seems like these discussions, quote unquote, are going to be very few and far between, probably several months in between. So we're going to have to wait and see how that plays out. But guys, that is it for this video here today. I hope you enjoyed it. Leave your thoughts and feedback down there in the comments. Thank you all so much for listening, and I hope you guys all Have a wonderful day.